Hey guys, welcome in. My name is Tim Knox. I am the owner of Revolved Realty here in Madison, along with my friend, co-conspirator, fellow entrepreneur, Thom Rigsby. How are you?
I'm good.
Is entrepreneur your official title now?
No.
No?
No.
What would be your official title?
Greatest business coach in Huntsville.
There you go.
Now that you're retired.
Well, there you go. Hey, I'm glad you're here because we want to talk a little bit about this video that is a relocation marketing piece that was released by the FBI.
Yeah.
And we know that because right there it says
FBI.
My FBI, Huntsville. And if you're unaware, the FBI is moving, 1,800, not agents, but employees here. I thought they were going to be like 1,800 agents.
No.
It's going to be just a couple of agents and a whole bunch of support people, I think.
Yeah.
But anyway, they are moving here. There are a number of other companies that are moving here. And when you and I were watching this video, there was a little air about it, almost like they're trying to clear up some misconceptions about Huntsville. So I thought what we would do is we would further clear up those misconceptions. So the folks that are thinking about relocating here will have a lot of information and will really have an insight into life here in Huntsville.
I like it.
You like it?
Yep.
Let's watch a little bit of the video.
Okay.
If you haven't seen this is public. It's on YouTube. I'm gonna pause it right there.
Okay.
Talk about what we've seen so far. Clearly, it is a marketing piece.
Yes.
Designed to let the folks know, and understandably so. We want to transfer you to Huntsville, Alabama. Where?
Where?
So they put this together, and I think did a great job as far as the video goes. These are 4 FBI employees who were already here.
Right.
And they're talking a little bit about the surprise. Is that the air you get, that there is a little surprise to it? A happy surprise?
Yeah, definitely. And I had a very similar reaction to you.
To me?
To you. No, okay. I had a similar reaction as you when I watched this for the first time. Mm-hmm. Born here, raised here, left twice, came back twice.
Born and raised, never left.
Well, there you go.
There you go.
It would be easy to take this as hey, we're going to convince you to come down to Bumpkinville.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I've lived all over the place, all around the world. You have a perception of everywhere.
Sure.
Just like right now, as we record this, it's February. I don't want to be up north because it's cold.
Right.
Well, it snowed here yesterday.
It did for a few minutes.
So,
yeah.
Your perceptions can greatly influence your experience.
Yeah. Let's talk about those perceptions, because when people, immediately hear about the South,
right,
there are those perceptions of it's still the old South, this and that. We have those same kind of perceptions here. Like when I say New York City,
right,
I think of rude, dirty.
Right. Exactly.
I've been to New York City 5 times and never made it past the airport. So I really don't have anything to base that on other than my misconception. And I think that's what they're doing here. They're saying, look, here is this wonderful, bustling, one of the voted over and over, one of the best places in the country to live. We've got the second highest concentration of engineers and scientists. It's really not that bad.
Best small airport, don't forget.
we have the smallest, most expensive airport.
Oh, yeah.
There is that, but it's getting better even. So I think that, and kudos to them for clearing up these misconceptions, because a lot of people think Huntsville, Alabama. The thing that they need to realize is Huntsville is not your typical Alabama town.
No, it's not. And it's, excuse me, it's not even typical of the South in general.
I hear people compare us, once they've been here, more to Silicon Valley than anywhere else in the country.
I get a lot of comparisons to Austin.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting place too, because there are so many people that have moved from Silicon Valley to the Silicon Prairie, you know, and so we have a lot of diversity of origin and background here
We
too.
do.
Lots of people that have moved in. In fact, I introduce myself frequently as an anomaly because I was born here.
Well, I always call myself a native, and the rest of you guys are immigrants.
Yeah.
Because I did grow up here, and I can remember when, you know, Huntsville wasn't the mecca of technology that it is now. And I can remember when my little hometown of Madison, which is the suburb, we had like 35 kids in my senior class. Now, granted, that was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But if you go to a Madison school now, there are 35 kids in a bathroom. And so it really has grown. And the reason it's grown is the economy. I mean, you can trace this all the way back to the 50s when von Braun was brought here to start the rocket program.
Well, one of the great things that we know is that for every employee that a new business brings, the FBI is bringing 1,800 or so.
Yeah.
We know that creates 3.1 additional job opportunities. From the convenience store where you get gas, to the restaurant, to the grocery store, to where you buy your house.
Yeah.
All of those things are necessary to kind of fill in and complete that community.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about new businesses, new jobs, or relocating businesses, it's more than the total impact is much greater than just those numbers.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the reasons, and you touched on this, that Huntsville is so unique is the diverse population. Because you don't have, I wouldn't guess, I mean, what percentage are actually born and raised here?
We had a hockey team in town
In Alabama.
when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Not at my high school. We only had 62 people in my class. But UAH had a hockey team
Yeah.
that were playing, you know, the Notre Dames and Indianas and Illinois of the world. And that's a direct result of NASA, the Army, the contractors, and the people that attracted, bringing that interest and making it real here.
Yeah. Well, it really kind of started with BRAC, the base realignment deal back 25, 30 years ago. You know, to give you a little history of Huntsville, I mean, you can go on and look at, you know, how we went from this little sleepy cotton town. Then during World War II, we became a munitions city when the Redstone Arsenal located here. During the Cold War, Huntsville was on the target for Russia because of the arsenal. But then when von Braun came here, it all went into the Apollo was here, the shuttle, the space station, and that's when all these engineers and scientists and all those guys, and that's when the diversity really started.
Right.
And so I think that's one thing for folks to understand as they're looking to move here is we are a very transient, call them, you know, immigrants coming from other parts of our country, and it really has resulted in a very diverse place to live. I want to talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about life in North Alabama.
Okay.
Lifestyle, living here. Couple of things. I'm in the real estate business, so of course, you know, at the pace that this area is growing, real estate's just crazy, just nuts. We can't build houses fast enough.
I think I saw yesterday that there's under 600 houses in inventory.
The last time I looked, there was under 900. There may be under, say, we're at a 20-year low in housing, which means the builders are building like crazy. We are, I think we're actually on the upswing as far as new home construction. But the point is the housing market here, as hot as it is, the houses you can buy here compared to what you're going to spend in the other parts of the country. If you're coming from D.C. or Virginia and you sell a house up, you've got a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot house you sell for $1 million. Down here, you can buy like 5 or 6 of those.
Yeah.
You know, you can get that house there. Here would be in the 3s.
Yeah.
So that's very positive. The housing market, the cost of living here is still one of the lowest in the country, even though we've got one of the highest median incomes.
Yep.
Because of all the engineers and that sort of thing. So that's something to realize, because as people are moving here, and I talk to them all the time in my business, you know, they are always constantly amazed, surprised in a good way as to what they can buy with their housing dollar here.
Yeah. Well, it does. It goes along. Your purchasing dollar goes a long way. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to be said for quality of life. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a catchphrase, you know, that people talk about. But things like an average 18-minute commute.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. That's a pretty big deal. Because I know when I lived in Dallas, it was 17 miles. I drove it every day, right? Yeah. 17 miles from my driveway to my, $350 a month parking spot in the garage. Wow. Right? 17 miles. At least an hour each way. Mm-hmm. At least. Mm-hmm. So an average 18-minute commute, that's a pretty big deal. Yeah. The way that the pricing structures work and just property tax. Yeah. Property tax here is nothing. Right. Compared, what we pay on 13 acres is less than we paid on a 1/4 acre lot a month. Mm-hmm. And we pay that a year. Yeah. So it's a different baseline, really. Yeah. Let's talk about the schools, because that's one of the things that really attracts a lot of people moving to Madison, which is the main suburb of Huntsville, but also Owens Crossroads, Meridianville, right. Hazel Green. Madison has one of the top school systems in the state. Yep. And the year that my youngest daughter Sierra graduated, mm-hmm. they had like 70% of the graduating class was going to college. Right. It's incredible. But now you're seeing the same quality of school system in Owens Crossroads, Hazel Green, even Hartselle. Right. So the schools in North Alabama are not only tops in the state, they're in the top percentage in the country. Well, this higher than average density of well-educated engineers, mm-hmm. for example, mm-hmm. is demanding a higher level of educational opportunity for their kids. Yeah. And we were joking about it. You had 30 some, I had 62 people in my graduating class. Between us, we might have had 100. Yeah. Yeah. That was kind of Stone Age, time frame. It was a few years ago, yeah. My youngest daughter graduated from the same high school that I went to, and she had, 200 or 300. I don't know what Bob Jones or Bob Jones. I think the year that my youngest daughter graduated, and this was 6 years ago, had something like 800. Yeah, it's crazy. But they've split it off into multiple schools now. Our oldest daughter graduated from high school in Dallas. Mm-hmm. Her graduating class had 2,600. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, when you look at that, our youngest daughter, when she was enrolling in school here, she sent me a text and said, "Dad, there's only like 700 kids total in this. There's nobody here." Yeah. Right. And that affords you some pretty great opportunities education-wise, mm-hmm. Where the teachers and the staff have an opportunity to work with kids a lot closer than they would in a bigger school. Let's talk about the higher education, right. Because here in Huntsville, we've got UAH, University of Alabama at Huntsville, one of the top engineering schools in the country. Yeah. We've got south of here, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, one of the top business schools, one of the top legal law schools. Yeah. Also have a little football team. Yeah. You might be aware of. Might have heard of them once or twice. And then we've got Auburn, who also has a football team, but one of the top veterinary schools in the country. Yeah. And so the opportunities from kindergarten all the way through college are just amazing here. Well, and I'll point out, yes, we have UAH. We've got Alabama A&M. We do have Alabama A&M. Yep. Another university. We got junior colleges. Athens State is, less than 30 minutes away. Calhoun, Drake are some junior colleges. Right. Oakwood College. So there's a ton of opportunity. Mm-hmm. And when you start looking at where we're located geographically, there's Alabama and Auburn. Nashville is an hour and a half away. Yeah. And Vandy's there. University of Mississippi is mm-hmm. not far away. Then you have the Birmingham schools. Yeah.
Yeah. Which we don't really care about
We're
those.
talking about Huntsville.
Yeah. But so I mean, the point being is there's from the cost of living to the lifestyle to the housing to the education. Let's talk about the job market, because you touched on this. We're both entrepreneurs, and one thing we always talk about is, as this city grows, what kind of opportunities does that present, not just to engineers and scientists and FBI analysts, but to other employees and to entrepreneurs? Talk, because this is your wheelhouse. Talk a little bit about the business and the startup environment here.
Well, you know, when you have 1,800 jobs move into a market, those people come with their family, and they're extended.
They like to eat.
They like to eat. They like to find things to do. Some of those family members have their own business. They bring that with them.
True.
I had a chance yesterday to talk to a young lady who moved here from New York.
New York City.
And brought her business here with her. So that really exists everywhere. But I think one of the things that we have here is an ecosystem that's very open to helping promote and grow your idea into something tangible that you can succeed with.
Yeah, there are like BizTech, a lot of little incubator type thing. And I think one thing that's important to note is the number of companies that were born here that are now major conglomerates. Hudson Alpha, Adtran, any number of defense contractors that started here.
Well, Intergraph, that's now
Intergraph is Hexagon now. Yep.
We have a company here that just a couple of months ago made 100+ new millionaires when they sold.
I wasn't one of them.
No, but neither was I. But that's happened a lot, and it's almost like this little sleeper town where all of this is going on, and we're so busy just going about the work.
Yeah, this really is one of those.
We don't do a good job of promoting ourselves.
This really is one of those towns where you can be behind an old farmer-looking guy at Walmart who's driving a 40-year-old pickup truck but has $1 million in the bank.
Well, a lot of farmers are.
Yep, a lot of land deals going on here. So from an entrepreneurial standpoint, as the city grows and the economy and the population grows, there's a lot more opportunity for entrepreneurs to start businesses.
Yes, and one other thing I'll add is that the city here has done a great job with their Gig City initiative to get fiber everywhere.
Yeah.
And so the barrier to entry into an internet-based business or remote worker type of arrangement is super low.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got great connectivity.
Except for here, in this office.
In your office, there's a Faraday cage or something. But just that effort and putting in the infrastructure.
Well, I think that's the reason Google is here, Facebook is here, Blue Origin, which is Jeff Bezos' company.
Yep.
And I really think that took off when they laid that Google fiber.
Well, they're all on the main line.
Yeah, they're all on the main. So that's very cool. So a lot of opportunities there. One of the things that I hear, and this has been a complaint here for years, is there's nothing to do here. There's no nightlife. You know, that's what the youngsters say. That has changed dramatically over the last few years. Talk about that.
Well, it has. The video talks about one of my favorites, the little brew pubs.
Let's finish watching the video. A lot of outdoor activities here.
I have to tell you, if I knew what I was doing my whole childhood was called hiking, I'd be into
You thought you were just walking around the
we were
woods.
just out for a walk, turning over rocks and chasing snakes and stuff.
One thing I want to note on here, you notice the diversity of the four people that are on this video. It's a black woman, a black guy, a white guy, and then someone who to me looks Middle Eastern, maybe.
Could be.
So, and I think they did that on purpose. The FBI's got some pretty smart people. Their marketing showing them that there is that, but that really is very representative of the population here.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up here, and we mentioned that already, and to me, I've never experienced, I don't know, any great degree of conflict.
Yeah,
it's if you show up, you do your work, and you be a good neighbor.
Yeah,
everybody can be happy.
Well, I mean, that's one of the things we talked about before was the stereotype of the South.
Sure,
backward, racist. We don't wear shoes, we ain't got teeth, and we date our cousins.
Well,
never more than once. That really, now there are pockets, but it's not like that here. The population, because it is so transient, is very, very diverse, and rarely. That's another thing, the crime here.
What crime?
Well, I mean, that's every now and then you'll hear about something, but it is not a heavy crime-laden area.
No, I mean, anybody that's lived in a major metro area understands that they don't report all the crime on the evening news because it's only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? And some of them, they run into an hour now. They just don't have time. They don't report it here because it doesn't happen very often.
Yep.
Now, it does.
Well, there's crime everywhere.
Sure.
But, we do not have the crime rate that you would see in a lot of cities of comparable size.
Right. And again, I think this is the result of intentional focus on developing areas where it's comfortable and safe and attracts the kind of crowd that want to be there and have a good time.
And I think that the city of Huntsville has done a really good job of making sure that everyone who lives here has a quality of life. You don't have the rundown, the slums, that sort of thing you'll have in a larger city. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with just the political leaders, the economy, and the population. Let's talk a little bit about sports, because I know you're a sports guy. We just are getting a minor league baseball team, and because of the name, it has gotten more publicity than anything ever in Huntsville, Alabama.
I really liked, the Thunder Sharks for a name, but they went with Trash Pandas.
Trash Pandas. What is a trash panda?
It's a raccoon. It's a
trash panda.
It
just
looks
sounds
like
sexier, right?
like a little panda bear, and it gets in the trash can if
There
you
you go.
put the lid on the trash can.
So we've got that. They're building a stadium.
We're 40, 50 some days away from season opener as we're recording this.
We also have hockey you mentioned earlier.
Hockey.
Is it the Havoc?
Havoc. So we've still got college hockey, and we have minor league hockey. Yep.
And in the past, we've had arena football here. There really is a lot to do. Youth sports here is huge.
We've got a
high school football.
Semi-pro basketball just wrapping up their season, right? The War Dogs. Yeah.
Jeez. So there's a lot of sporting events here. Of course, there's a lot of music venues, concerts. Let's go back to what you were talking about earlier. One of the things that's really changed the nightlife here, craft beer. Know you're a fan.
Yes.
And now there are craft beer restaurants and pubs, and a lot of the renovation down Stone Middle School. Right. What's the one up from that? Martin Stove. They're basically taking all these old manufacturing companies and turning them into really hip, cool nightlife venues.
It was it was a part of town that had a really great opportunity to be let go.
It almost was.
And it almost was. And it started with Stone, where the original Stone, I guess second Stone Middle School burned down. They built it back and then moved the kids out, seems like 2 years later. So this really nice brand new building was sitting there unused for a decade.
Yeah.
And the city looked at that and said, we need to do something with this. And so the gym, what was the gym, is now a big brewery.
Yeah.
Giant kettles in there.
Well, wasn't that done? What was his name? Brandon, the young entrepreneur who cashed out big in his early 20s here and bought all of that and remodeled it?
Well, no, he bought West Huntsville Elementary School.
Okay.
and then turn that into a co-working space.
Very cool.
Brandon Cruz. So that whole little strip from Stovehouse all the way up Clinton Avenue, and then there's several little breweries in there. There's a couple of distilleries that have popped up.
There's another place here called Low Mill,
Right.
which was an old cotton gin or something. I mean, it was
Textile mill.
textile mill, and they've converted it kind of to artistic space. There's a whiskey brewery in there.
There it is.
We like our alcohol here.
Regardless of what you might
Regardless
have
of what you might have heard. So a lot of stuff happening there. So there is a lot of nightlife here now. You've got, they talked about on the video, the outdoor shopping, Bridge Street. There's Town Madison, which is coming, which is going to be this huge shopping, retail, entertainment venue. So a lot of stuff going on like that.
Mid-City is coming. Mid-City is there, right? We've got, there's a Top Golf and REI Outfitters, Dave & Buster's.
Have you done the rock climbing wall thing there?
No.
I go by every now and then and just look at it. That looks hard.
But they're building, this is the exciting thing, a 7,500 seat amphitheater, which is that will be the biggest one in the state. It will hold more people than the arena at the Civic Center.
Oh, wow.
And they're doing that. They're building the infrastructure, public-private partnership, to build this infrastructure to attract the acts necessary to draw that kind of.
Well, they're saying that within the next 3 to 5 years, Huntsville's going to be the largest city in the state.
Yeah, I believe that.
Bigger than Birmingham, bigger than Montgomery. Of course, again, the cost of living is low. The median income is one of the highest in the country. You know, we have the second largest research park in the country behind Silicon Valley. We've got one of the highest concentration of engineers, and that simply means most of the people here can't drive, but you've got to have there's a downside to everything. So that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. Is just, this, the what do I want to call it? We want to dispel the rumors, the myths, the history that if you come to Alabama, it's a terrible thing, because really there are very few places in the country, according to a lot of surveys, that are better to live and work.
Well, I think for me, we talked about this the other day. One of the things watching this video, and look, you market to your audience, right? You and I understand that. And so the people in this video are people who can connect and resonate with the audience that they made the video for. But you and I have additional perspective that we both wanted to share. And I think that it's one thing to hear from people who have moved in and their view and their expectation. It's something else to hear from people who have lived here all or most of our lives.
And now they're going, hey guys, it ain't that bad.
So one last thing I wanted to get in is one of the big differences, having lived in really big cities all over the world, small cities everywhere, one of the things that's different here is the pace of life. Right? And some of that comes from having an hour plus commute each way, right? So if you're going to be at work 8 or 9 hours, then now all of a sudden it's 10 or 11 hours. And you got to cram a lot more life into those final 4, 5, 6 hours of the day. Well, if you don't have all of that, then you don't have to be as stressed. You don't have to be as rushed. You can actually begin your day from a place of quiet rather than hitting your floor hitting the feet in crisis.
Yep. And I hear this from so many people. The people are so friendly here.
Yeah.
And we're a friendly bunch of folks down here in Alabama.
I remember my uncle, my aunt got married the first time her husband came over. He commented on how people would just wave to you.
I wave at everybody.
Passing you on the road.
Yeah. Yep.
And it's like, oh, it's like they knew me or something.
Yeah. So, I mean, the moral to all of this is, and we'll put a link to the video so they can watch it, is this is a great place to live, a great place to work. Our climate here might be a little hot in the summertime, but we do have air conditioning.
That's right.
So there is that. But the diversity of people, the economy, the housing market. We didn't even talk about the religious aspect. There's churches everywhere, every denomination.
Of every kind.
Every nationality. I mean, there's a lot of Jesus going on here.
Yeah.
A lot of Jesus.
Well,
so it's just
whoever your religious figure is.
Whoever it is you worship, I guarantee you they have a branch here in Huntsville. So, Thom, you are an entrepreneur. You work with a lot of business owners. If folks are thinking about relocating here and they want to talk to you about the business economy and get your slant on that,
sure.
How do they get a hold of you?
Easiest way to do it is just go to the website, thomrigsby.com, and right in the middle of the page is a big orange button that says Start Here.
Easy button.
Easy button.
Is that a THOM or a TOM?
It's THOM, but
put a link.
TOM works too.
All right. And if I can do anything for you, my business is real estate. We do buy and sell here. We work with a lot of folks relocating. Give me a call, 256-679-0704. You can look us up at revolved.com.